So I think it's been like 5 years since I made my last video, and I figured you guys were probably missing those bangers.
Somebody that's 4 and 5 in a row, 4 and 7 in a row, and down they all go.
Radiant's top tower is under.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
But for real though, guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm literally just starting after years. I went to college, so I was pretty busy. But I got more free time on the weekends now, so it looks like I'll be able to push out some more videos for you guys. Hopefully some entertaining stuff. But really what I wanted to get started with was, you know, E3 coming up, right? It's in under a month now. It's probably the biggest gaming event the whole year. So I really kind of want to just weigh in on it, show you guys what I'm most interested in, you know, what my top 10 things, you know, anticipations for E3 are. You know, and like all top 10s, it's really just my own subjective list. And if you don't agree with it, it's okay to be wrong, guys. And yeah, without further ado, let's just get that started. And also, since I'm just starting back up, if you guys could, if you enjoy the video, just like and subscribe. And also feel free to follow me on twitch.tv/franklygaming. Number 10, the tech giants. So for the first spot on my list, I really just wanted to give a shout out to the 3 tech giants I'm really interested in seeing this year, that being Google, Netflix, and AMD. For Google, we know they have Stadia coming out, and it really excites me personally to see something, you know, so futuristic that could push the gaming space forward so much. And I think for the casual gamer, they could really enjoy the idea of just seeing a YouTube video of a game and just clicking on it and instantly playing a demo. That would be really cool. For Netflix, it should also be really cool to see how Netflix, you know, integrates maybe new shows with new interactive elements like Bandersnatch was, and also if they have games coming out in the works, like the recently announced Stranger Things game. And finally, I will be super excited to see AMD as well, that just being because their new Ryzen CPUs and Navi GPU are set to come out Q3 this year. So obviously they're going to be, you know, giving information on that at Computex at the end of this month, and then also E3. So it'll be interesting to see if, you know, they can live up to all the hype and we can get some really cool hardware out of them. And on top of that, AMD should be giving us a glimpse into what the new next-gen consoles should look like, seeing as those consoles will be using these new AMD parts as well. But I don't want to bore you guys with hardware stuff for too long, so I say we just jump into number 9 and get started talking about some games. Number 9, Dying Light 2. For the number 9 spot on my list, I chose Dying Light 2 just because I was super impressed with the demo they showed off last year at E3. In the demo, you could see a ton of parkour that looked really fun and, you know, just a good time to use, just like in the last game. But even more importantly to me, they also showed off a lot of the systems in the game, specifically how the choices you make can have a big impact on the world. For instance, in the demo they showed off, you could either work with a terrorist group to sell water on the black market, which would force the city to have worse conditions, or you could end up giving the city all its water back and the town would regrow and start to get better. But both of the choices had their own pros and cons. On top of this, I'm super excited to see kind of how the nighttime gameplay works out in Dying Light 2. I'd really want to see maybe more of that. Just because the horror aspects of fighting zombies at night and barely being able to see just sounds super exciting, especially on top of all the parkour and combat systems that Dying Light is really known for. So that should be super interesting to see. My hope is that the developers can really help meet that middle ground where you have some really fun and interesting combat at night, but also some really meaningful choices to make in the day. That way, you know, maybe the campaign will be one to remember and not something and just put to the wayside. Maybe kind of like the first game, I think. Either way, though, I'm super excited to see where Dying Light 2 ends up this year, because I'm sure we'll be seeing it on someone's stage. And, you know, just hoping that it can turn out to be as good of a game as I hope it can be. Number 8, Starfield. Next up, we have a game that could in many ways be considered a second chance for Bethesda, Starfield. Bethesda has been no stranger to controversy over the past few years, with games like Elder Scrolls Blades and Fallout 76.
Country roads, take me home to the place.
Even Bethesda's last mainline entry, Fallout 4, fell flat for many and is largely considered not as great as some of the previous entries in the series. In many ways, Starfield is Bethesda's second chance to show the fans and the press that they really do still have that magic touch, and that they can make a great game again that people will love and enjoy for years to come. And what better way to do that than with an entirely new IP in an entirely new setting that Bethesda has never touched before, sci-fi and space. And for me personally, this is super exciting, as I've always loved games like Mass Effect or anything to do with the sci-fi setting in general, even in movies or games alike. And I think having Bethesda tackle this kind of setting with their own formula will be super interesting to see, having an Oblivion-like game but in space. And I'm really excited to see how they can turn that out. What is more worrisome, though, is whether or not Bethesda and the team will be able to work out a lot of the issues with their engine. Fallout 76 showed the world that the creation engine is quite behind the times and definitely needs a lot of reworking, with all the bugs and problems that we saw on launch, especially with the multiplayer integration. The big hope is that with Starfield, Bethesda can finally make some changes to their engine that will have a long-lasting and meaningful impact for not only Starfield, but future games as well, and bring Bethesda back into the spotlight for fans and press alike. Regardless, though, I'm just excited to see Bethesda maybe showing off what they have for Starfield and what their vision is, and what really a Bethesda-like game could be like in space. And Wall Todd Howard has recently said that they will not be showing off Starfield or TES 6 at this year's E3, and I sort of believe him. I do still hold a shred of hope that we will be able to see Starfield, or at least slightly more of their vision. That way we can be more hyped for what's to come. But because it's so uncertain what we actually will be seeing this year, I could only put Starfield at number 8. Let's move on to the next one. Number 7, Dragon Age 4. Back in November of 2014, Dragon Age Inquisition released, and was considered by many to be quite a fantastic game, including myself. The combat was fun and engaging, the story was interesting, and being around the characters and learning about their backstories was probably one of the best experiences I had in gaming that year. Since that, though, it seems like BioWare has had nothing but missteps, with Anthem recently releasing to horrible reviews and a myriad of bugs, and other games like Mass Effect Andromeda that also were not received well at all by its audience. What I hope we can see from BioWare is a return to form, really. Something more akin to the Mass Effect series of old, or even the old Dragon Ages. Something like KOTOR even. BioWare used to be one of my favorite studios that made single-player, immersive role-playing games that you could really get into and learn about all of the worlds, the characters, and just really lose yourself and enjoy yourself. For Dragon Age 4, I'm hoping BioWare can use their new and improved combat systems that they've developed in Anthem, but also turn back to the great storytelling that we all love them for. Casey Hudson has recently gone to Twitter to let the fans know that Dragon Age will be focusing on a single-player role-playing experience just like all the old games that we all loved, and I'm hoping that they stick to that. Hopefully at E3, BioWare can do a big reveal for Dragon Age 4 where we can see some new environments that are exciting and different, some new characters that we can fall in love with again, a new combat system that'll be even more engaging than before, and really just a return to form, something that can save BioWare from all their recent games. Sadly, though, with BioWare's recent track record, I'm having trouble believing that they can truly pull this off, which is why I could only put Dragon Age at number 7. Let's move on to the next game. Number 6, Halo Infinite. Back in high school, one of the first things I would do every day when I got home would be run back to my back room, flip on my Xbox, and turn Halo on so I could play with all my friends. I've lost track of all the hours that me and my friends have spent playing Halo multiplayer, messing around in Forge, and playing split-screen campaign co-op. Whenever I hear the Halo 3 main theme song, I always think of just loading in every day after school and seeing the main screen, knowing I was about to have a great time in an Xbox Live group just playing Halo all night. But while Halo brings back so many good memories, it seems that the recent installments have not been quite the same as they used to be. With Halo 4 and 5, there's new power-ups that seem to level the playing field so that it's not as competitive, and the campaign does not quite focus on Master Chief like it did before. With Halo Infinite, which, if we're being honest, is really Halo 6, as 343 has even admitted, I'm hoping that they can bring the series back to the magic that it used to have for me when I was younger. I am still excited, though, to see how they tackle all these new things they're bringing to Halo, including the new open world design, bringing in the new engine, which will hopefully carry over the shooting mechanics that Halo has always been known and loved for. But really, overall, what it comes down to is I'm just super interested to see what this new Halo is exactly. The trailer last year didn't really show us that much, and while it was cool and we got to see Master Chief in the end and a few of the Marines walking by in the forest, we still don't know exactly what this new game is going to be like. And with rumors that the campaign is going to release in 2019, followed by a multiplayer release in 2020, things could get very interesting. On top of that, I really want to see what 343's new Slipspace engine is packing, and what it will bring to Halo and what changes we're going to be having this year. Hopefully Halo Infinite can light the spark of the Halo franchise once again, and return to form where on the weekends you and your buddies can be playing flood games, online multiplayer, and split-screen co-op. But without further ado, let's move on. Number 5, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Next on my list is Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. In Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, you take the role of Jedi Cal Kestis after surviving Order 66, the famous order by the Empire to kill all Jedi across the galaxy. This should provide an interesting setting for the game, and will allow the players to then go find their force powers, their lightsaber, and just all the backstory behind Cal and what has been going on. Respawn has promised that there will be a focus on lightsaber and force power combat, and that stealth will not be a big player. But honestly, that kind of excites me, as I'm hoping to have a kind of experience that just really puts you in the middle of a big, powerful Jedi wielding all his force powers. Growing up, I always thought the Force Unleashed games were pretty fun, albeit having a lot of problems, especially the second one. But hopefully, the new Star Wars game coming from Respawn will be able to tackle that sense of raw power in the universe while providing a better story, better background, better environments, and just a better overall experience that we have come to see from Respawn with recent games like Titanfall 2. I think Respawn might just be able to pull it off as well, as they will have some of the writing staff behind KOTOR 2 and Fallout New Vegas, which were very well written games that had a very big impact on the space. Vince Zampella has also come out and said that the game will not include any multiplayer or any microtransactions, which has helped ease the community and assured them that really this game will focus on a grounded single-player Jedi experience, which I think is what most people want, as we've been screaming for KOTOR, for how long has it been now? The only thing that does worry me a little bit, though, to be honest, is I was not a huge fan of the trailer they released back a couple of months ago. It looked cool, and I liked the idea of the setting in Order 66 right after it's executed, but I don't know. It didn't. I was expecting more, but honestly, I don't want to make a final judgment until I see gameplay. And until then, I'm still super hyped on seeing what this new Star Wars game is and can be. And I'm also very confident in Respawn's past history with Titanfall and them making a very high quality campaign. But without further ado, let's move on to the next game. Number 4, Valve. So this next spot on my list might come as a little bit of a surprise to a lot of you, considering Valve hasn't really done that many AAA big games recently. They haven't relived Portal, Half-Life's been dead for years, they still keep up with Dota, but that's a PC-only game. But really, what I'm excited about seeing Valve this year at E3 is just the fact that they might finally have more things to show. And the reason I say that is there's just a lot of things that are, being shown to come out on Valve's plate currently. Like the Index coming out recently, and games for sure definitely have to be coming out for that. As they've announced, there will be a AAA game from them coming out this year. And with recent releases of trademarks like Dota Underworlds, Valve is obviously up to some things on site to kind of get us excited for. And I think this E3 is finally going to be one where they can start and show those things off. Personally, I'm most excited about hoping that they release some type of Half-Life, maybe VR and normal game, Half-Life 3 for the Index. That kind of announcement could be huge, and I could see that being how Microsoft ends on their stage. But also, because it's Valve, that actually happening has such a slim chance. I think what's more likely is Dota Underworlds ends up being an auto chess clone with the original developers, or the first Index game that they're releasing for their new VR system. But the reason I put Valve at number 4 is just the idea of having such an exciting reveal like Half-Life, or Left 4 Dead 3, which a fake trailer just came out, which got people so excited. So you could see the excitement even just there. Or maybe another one I would personally love is a Portal 3. But either way, while none of these things are very likely, considering Valve just honestly has done nothing recently, it would be beyond exciting for any of their big games to have a new installment in the series being announced at E3. But while, yes, a Portal 3 or Half-Life 3 announcement would probably steal the show and be, game of the show for most people, we can't really rely on that from Valve. And for that reason, I only put them at number 4. But now let's hop into my top 3 most exciting things I'm looking forward to at this year's E3. Number 3, next-gen Xbox. So this was actually probably the easiest section for me to place in all of my top 10, just because for me it's so obvious that this year Xbox is going to play a huge role. With Sony ducking out and not having a conference this year, and Nintendo not really having a huge presence any of the past years, or probably this year either, it's all going to fall on Xbox and Microsoft to really make a big show and show a lot of big games, and especially first-party titles. And most exciting, at least for me, is probably all of the new hardware that Xbox is expected to release, which includes the rumored Anaconda and Lockhart. With Anaconda being a more traditional console with powerful hardware in the box that allows you to, hopefully, play 4K games at 60 FPS. But they're also expected to release a slightly different cloud console variant called Lockhart currently that will basically just be a cheaper version of the same console that will utilize cloud gaming to, have high fidelity as well, but with a little bit of latency. This future excites me so much just because it seemed to me like under Phil Spencer, Xbox has really been focused on the consumer and bringing new, cool, and exciting things to people that can really change the gaming landscape as a whole. The xCloud platform that we're expecting they announce more, information on here at E3 will also probably play a big role in these new consoles, probably allowing people to stream their games and, get people that traditionally wouldn't spend a lot of money on a console in at a slightly, cheaper variant that will allow them to play these high fidelity, super awesome games that otherwise they may have not touched. And on top of all this, I think there's a lot of potential for Xbox to make a bunch of huge announcements in terms of just raw games that we can see from them. I'm thinking that Ninja Theory, for example, one of their recent studio acquisitions, will probably have a big announcement to make, maybe near the beginning of the show. And Xbox itself will probably have more studio acquisitions that they'll want to announce, some of which may be really huge. I'm hoping for things like Crytek, but that might be a little too high in the sky. On top of that, though, there's going to be tons of things like I already mentioned, Halo Infinite, we're going to see Gears 5, we're going to see Ori 2. There's going to be a bunch of things to look forward to. And a lot of the third-party games are going to be basically forced to show all of their content on the Xbox stage since Sony and Nintendo are going to have such a small presence. I'm expecting the whole conference to really just be a long, exciting, and just really good time because we're going to have so many things to show. No competition, so everything is going to be coming down to this conference essentially. So I'm really looking forward to it, and I hope it can live up to the hype. But there's still 2 other things that I'm even more excited about, so let's move on to those. Number 2, Arkane Studios. So for number 2, I have a pick that probably won't be in many people's even top 3 for E3 of 2019. But for me personally, it's a no-brainer. Arkane Studios are the people behind the games you love and know, like Dishonored and Prey. I guess that's it, but honestly, at the end of the day, those 2 games are just, in my opinion, absolutely fantastic. I don't really like the setting of Dishonored, but the gameplay, the systems, the story, everything else about Dishonored is absolutely amazing. And for me, Prey, kind of a underrated game of 2017, was by far and away the best game of that year. I remember picking up Prey and thinking, oh, this looks like it's going to suck. I don't think I'd be into this. And by the end, just being blown away by how good the story was, how good the gameplay was, how good the systems were. Arkane Studios is an amazing team, and I'm really, really excited to see what they can bring this year to E3 to kind of show off what they've been working on. There's a lot of rumors that their new game could be Dishonored 3 because that's kind of the obvious pick. But some of the studio heads have come out and said that they're kind of shelving the Dishonored IP for at least a little bit. That excites me even more though, because what I would really want from them is either a new IP or a Prey 2. Just because, as you guys know, I love Prey 1 and it was so amazing. Either way though, from all the games of their past, there's no reason not to believe that Arkane Studios isn't in the works on something that could be truly amazing. Those types of games that make you think and allow you to use the systems in multiple ways to tackle multiple objectives and multiple hardships is really just right up my alley. And the problem-solving elements and just the great developer feedback in all of their games is something that all studios should really strive for. I'm hoping that if there is a reveal from Arkane Studios this year, that it's something akin to what they've been doing before, like I said, in either New World or Prey. But at the end of the day, I just want to be able to hop into a game and have the great experiences that I had in 2017 with Prey. Something that just blew me away and I wasn't expecting at all. And another thing is, Prey, their last game, wasn't really received that well and didn't have many sales, which I think is a huge shame. I'm hoping that for their next game, it can be more of a big hit and they can market it better. That way they can kind of get the recognition that I think they deserve, because they're making kinds of games that no one else are, and they're making amazing versions of them, kind of Deus Ex-like. Either way, though, I have a huge amount of hope pinned on this, and I'm hoping they don't go down making a whole new type of game or live service. But, if they don't, I'm super excited. But, without further ado, the one and only, my number one pick. Number 1, Cyberpunk 2077. So for my number 1 pick, I picked Cyberpunk 2077, which, if we're going to be honest, is probably most people's number 1 game they're looking forward to for this E3. But I think the reasons for that are just pretty obvious. Last year, CD Projekt Red showed a behind-closed-door gameplay demo of the game at E3, but didn't really release any gameplay footage of it at all. But the excitement was just so crazy that later on, a few months down the line, they'd actually decided to just release the entire 1-hour gameplay video to the public, just to show people what they had been working on so far. And boy did it not disappoint. The 1-hour gameplay session showed off a ton of systems, including crowded environments, awesome combat like curving bullets around edges to kill your enemies, a deep and involved storyline with different cyberpunk elements strewn throughout, vehicle combat, and just a general vibe in the city that seemed like it would be really fun to be a part of. But more than any of that, honestly, the thing that excites people most about this game is the people behind it, CD Projekt Red. Their past few games have been nothing short of mesmerizing, with the Witcher series showing that really you can build a medieval setting with deep characters, a deep storyline, and engaging decisions to make that are more mature in their themes and have a lot of consequence. And now with CD Projekt Red moving on to a whole new setting past The Witcher, something they really haven't done since the whole new studio has been formed, this new cyberpunk setting should be super exciting and more accessible to a wider audience, which CD Projekt Red has even stated themselves. What I'm hoping most from this game is that it can almost be like Deus Ex, but better. That kind of dystopian future with a lot of cool gadgets, a deep storyline, an underground Illuminati figures, and things of that sort, which looks exactly like what Cyberpunk is amping up to be. But just more immersive, more mature, and really just overall a more high quality game. But yeah, guys, that's what I'm most excited about for this year at E3. Let me know what you guys think about my list and what your own lists are down below. And also, if you guys can, like I said, I'm kind of just getting back into this whole YouTube thing. So I know this video might have been a little rough around the edges, but if you could like and subscribe if you get the chance, that would really help me out and really help start getting the channel growing again. Also, if you guys want to see me, playing some games live, some Fortnite, Dota, things like that, feel free to follow me on twitch.tv/franklygaming as well. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching, and let me know what other videos you guys want to see too. I'm pretty excited to keep making content for you guys.